Last week, Urban Meyer was announced as the newest head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars, and the job is not done there. The very first thing he needs to do is start grinding on a coaching staff, and the Jaguars need a lot right now. Not only a coaching staff, but they also need a GM. So, in this video, I really want to talk to you guys about where we are at right now with the whole general manager search, offense coordinator search, defense coordinator search, and really where the coaching staff is right now, because there are rumors about different spots. Obviously, there's still vacancies at the GM spot, offense coordinator spot, defense coordinator spot, and obviously many position coaches right now. So this is what the Jaguars are grinding on right now. So we're going to start off with the general manager position. Obviously, really in the past, what a lot of teams have done is that they hire the general manager first, and then they start hiring. Then they hire the head coach once they have that kind of locked down. But now the NFL is kind of trending more toward a coach-centric deal, and that's exactly what the Jaguars did now with Urban Meyer here. They hired Urban Meyer, and now they need to get a head coach. So the Jaguars have interviewed several different general manager candidates, but now you would think that Urban Meyer will really get the great deal in this. And honestly, Urban Meyer and Shad Khan are both going to have to come to an agreement on a certain general manager, but I would think that really Urban Meyer is going to really get the advantage here. I could think if Urban Meyer wants somebody, he's going to say it to Shad Khan. I'm sure Shad Khan will agree. So a lot of this really has to do with really Urban Meyer. So really some of the GMs that we have interviewed included Trent Baalke, Jerry Reese, Louis Riddick, Rick Smith, Terry Fontenot, and Ray Farmer. Jaguars interviewed all those guys before Urban Meyer was actually officially hired as a head coach. So all those people except for Terry Fontenot, who accepted the GM spot for the Atlanta Falcons, all those guys are up for grabs. And I don't really know what direction the Jaguars will head. There have been certain rumors and reports linking Ray Farmer to the Jaguars as maybe being the favorite. He doesn't have a great track record. I mean, he was a former player, former linebacker actually. He was a general manager of the Browns from 2014 to 2015, where he was 10-22 as GM. And the 2 years after he was let go as a GM, the Browns were 1-31. He drafted Johnny Manziel, even though the rumor is that there was a lot of pressure coming from the coaching, from the owner to really get Johnny Manziel. But that is still in his record, so it's tough to really see the positives out of that one. But that's really the only name that might be linked to Urban Meyer. So it's been kind of slow on the general manager front. We haven't really heard many rumors really coming out. Today, the Jaguars did fire John Idzik, who was Dave Caldwell's kind of assistant. So he is out of the building, and it's interesting. You would think that the two leading candidates would probably be Trent Baalke, since he is in building, and the rumors are that he was really trying to promote Urban Meyer to Shad Khan, even though, like, you know, it's weird for me to see that, because obviously Shad Khan has been talking with Urban Meyer since the Super Bowl last year, so I don't really know how much that rumor is really true. But that's kind of the reports out there. But I would personally rather kind of a clean slate, really, of the front office. I want to get a guy with Urban Meyer that I don't want a yes man for Urban Meyer. I don't want a general manager that's like, okay, we'll do that. Okay, we'll do that. Okay, we'll do that. I'd rather have someone who can work with Urban Meyer, but kind of someone who they can bounce ideas off each other. They can challenge each other. Urban Meyer can say, I don't like that, and he can say, I don't like that, and they bounce things off, and they come up with a great solution. Hopefully a good working relationship like that instead of a sour one. That's one thing that I like the most. So obviously Urban Meyer definitely needs a good GM, because I just really, with Urban Meyer coming in, I don't see how he'd be able to handle any GM duties as well as head coaching duties. You got to let their guys do their thing. But obviously he's been studying the NFL for a really long time now, so I think he knows that the importance of a general manager. So I think that they'd go out there and get this one done right. So really, those are some of the names there. I guess just keep watching out for some of these guys that the Jaguars have already interviewed. And next up, we'll go to the offensive coordinator spot. Now, there's really two names linked to the offensive coordinator spot. One of those names is Scott Linehan. Now, Scott Linehan, he's got a lot of experience. First of all, in college, he coached college from 1989 to 2001, and then he coached the NFL from 2002 to 2018, and then he was most recently the LSU's passing game coordinator in 2020, and now he's kind of the leading favorite, it seems like, to be the Jaguars offensive coordinator. Now, he's served 14 years as an offensive coordinator in the NFL. And he's actually he was the Rams head coach for 2.5 seasons before being fired, I think 5 games into his third season as head coach. I like this candidate. I mean, obviously, when you're looking for offensive coordinator kind of position, like offensive coordinator coaches, it's not as sexy as like a head coaching list, because head coaching list is like, boom, this guy is killing it as offensive coordinator at this team. And obviously, like, this coach has had Super Bowl run. Like, it's not like that much offensive coordinator positions. You're either finding kind of diamonds in the rough, or you're finding guys that have been kind of all over the place, and that's kind of Scott Linehan. But I like this. I like Scott Linehan just for the sole fact that he has a ton of experience, and I think Urban Meyer needs to bring in the guy that has a lot of NFL experience, and this guy's really just been all around the game. So I think he'd be a pretty good coach, in my mind, for Urban Meyer. Now, another name to look out for is Anthony Lynn. Obviously, Anthony Lynn is more of a household name. He was serving as a Cardinals head coach from 2017 to 2020 before being fired at the end of the season. And he was also the Bills offense coordinator in 2016. Now, he's definitely an exciting option. However, he doesn't have a whole lot of experience at offense coordinator. He's only been offense coordinator for 1 season in the NFL. Obviously, not really much play calling experience. So I don't know if really Anthony Lynn would be the best. Obviously, he sounds like the best candidate, just was a head coach. He wasn't horrible, really, for the Chargers. He was just kind of bad, really late games, and he let a lot of games slip out of their hands. But I think for the sole fact of Urban Meyer's lack of NFL experience, it would almost make me favor a guy that has not only a lot of NFL experience, but a lot of years as an offensive coordinator in the NFL. So, I would personally prefer Scott Linehan. Now, next up is defensive coordinator. Now, there's 3 names linked to the defense coordinator spot. One of them is Raheem Morris. Raheem Morris was just serving as the Atlanta Falcons interim head coach, and he actually got a head coaching interview with the Jaguars before obviously deciding to go with Urban Meyer. I wasn't someone who wanted him as a head coach, but I would definitely take him as a defensive coordinator. He's actually coming in on Tuesday to interview with the Jaguars. And yeah, I mean, he's got some NFL experience. He was Tampa Bay's head coach from 2009 to 2011. From 2015 to 2020, he served on the Falcons coaching staffs and really a lot of different positions. Assistant head coach, defensive backs coach, wide receivers coach, interestingly enough, and also secondary coach. I like this because obviously he's very versatile. I like all the different positions that he's coached at. He's been a head coach, interim head coach, defensive coordinator in 2020 before kind of moving on to the head coaching spot. I like Raheem Morris. Players really like him too. And, it almost gives you that good balance of, Urban Meyer's probably, I don't think he's going to be a guy that's really going to be buddy-buddy with different players. So it almost comes into a mix of where the Jaguars might be in a situation where, the players really feel comfortable with like their coordinators of each position, or not position, but like they'll feel comfortable with the offense coordinator and defense coordinator, and then the head coach is really the hard ass, and the assistant coaching spots, the position coaches are kind of the hard asses. So it's interesting when you really dive into really what coaching staffs looks like, but that's really like a lot of the way coaching staffs kind of work, interestingly enough. So I think Raheem Morris would be a guy that players will really like, and obviously I definitely like especially the NFL experience, but just the experience with all different kinds of position groups. Next up, we have another guy who's coming in for an interview on Wednesday, and that's Joe Cullen. He's currently serving as a Ravens defensive line coach. Now, The difference between him and Raheem Morris is he doesn't not have a lot of versatility when it comes to the defense. He's been a defensive line coach since 2006, and that's really been the only position he's been coaching. He's coached the defensive lines for the Lions, Idaho State, Jaguars from 2010 to 2012, the Browns, Bucks, and he's been with the Ravens since 2016. So I guess this is a hot candidate now. I don't know a whole lot about him. We'd have to see if he really does get hired, what he can really bring to the table, and kind of go from there. Now, the third name linked to the Jaguars as a defensive coordinator would be Anthony Weaver. Anthony Weaver is kind of a younger guy, so he doesn't have as decorated of a coaching history. He's 40 years old. He was a player from 2002 to 2008. He was a defensive line coach from 2013 to 2019, and then now in 2020, he most recently served as the Texans defense coordinator. So here's another interesting name. I mean, he's young. I don't really know what the link between him and Urban Meyer really is, but he is going to get a shot at defense coordinator. So we'll see. Obviously, out of all these guys I just talked about, I definitely favor Raheem Morris the most out of this bunch, but we'll really see where Urban Meyer decides to go with the defense coordinator spot. Now we move on to the spots that are official, guys that have been offered a coaching job with the Jaguars and have accepted. So first off, we have a head strength and conditioning coach, Anthony Schlegel. Anthony Schlegel played in the NFL. He actually used to be the assistant strength and conditioning coach with Urban Meyer at Ohio State back when he was there. And now he's actually the Jaguars' head strength and conditioning coach. He's most known for, and I'm sure we saw the rounds on Twitter of him basically taking the guy that was a fan that was running on the field. He took him by the neck and just brought him to the ground before escorting him to the sideline and giving him this nice little push at the end there. So he's the guy that's been offered the head strength and conditioning coordinator spot. So that's one hard-ass looking dude that got given that job. Next up, we have Charlie Strong. Charlie Strong is a very household name. He has been given the assistant head coach job as well as the linebackers coach. I wasn't a guy, when I heard his name, I wasn't all that excited because I thought he was going to be brought in as defense coordinator, and I didn't think that I didn't want him as defense coordinator, just given with all his, really most of his experience. Pretty much all of his experience has been really in the college game. He was with Florida on the defensive side of the ball from 2003 to 2009. Then he moved on to be the head coach of Louisville, Texas, and USF, and he was really only successful at Louisville, just wasn't a great recruiter. And most recently in 2020, he served as an Alabama defensive analyst. So now he's with the Jaguars. Urban Meyer has a lot of respect for this guy, linebackers coach. So I definitely like to hire. I've always been somewhat of a fan of Charlie Strong, and I think he'll do pretty good at the spot. Now, last up, we have Ryan Stamper. Ryan Stamper has been given the position of Director of Player Personnel. Now, fun fact about Ryan Stamper, he actually is from Jacksonville. He went to First Coast High School. He also played with Urban Meyer at Florida, graduated in 2008. And he was actually the Assistant Athletic Director of Player Personnel, or of player development back when Urban Meyer was at Ohio State. He hired him on over there, and now he is moving on to the Jaguars. So I guess another Urban Meyer connection, kind of hiring a few of his guys that he had previous experience with. Obviously, one thing that you notice about the guys that are official between Anthony Schlegel, Charlie Strong, and Ryan Stamper, all these guys have had past experience with Urban Meyer, so Urban Meyer didn't have to do a whole lot of vetting there. But now I imagine a lot of vetting will come as they try to nail down a defense coordinator spots, the offense coordinator spots, and really once they start getting their position coaches in here. Because Urban Meyer, it's a tough job for him. I mean, he's never been a coach in the NFL, so he doesn't have his NFL guys. Now he has to kind of find them, and hopefully they all do work out. So that was my video, man. That was kind of my breakdown of what's going on with the Jaguars coaching staff right now. Of course, I will keep you guys updated on everything that's going on with this whole thing, and hopefully we can nail down some of these spots very, very soon. I gave you guys some of my favorites when it comes to really some of these spots. So let me know what you guys think. What do you guys want to happen? Thanks, everyone, for watching the video. Shout out to all the members of the channel for being members of the channel. And thank you guys for watching. Go Jag.